The shooting at the Family Research Council headquarters was a terrible thing. I don't think anyone disputes that. And of course, we expected a storm of criticism directed to the LGBT community afterwards because, well, that's standard procedure by the religious right. Tony Perkins of the Family Research Council said about the shooting, Perkins was given a license to shoot an unarmed man by organizations like the Southern Poverty Law Center that have been reckless in labeling organizations hate groups because they disagree with them on public policy. What he is referring to is the hate group status that the Southern Poverty Law Center granted the Family Research Council because of the FRC's stated positions and actions against homosexuals, gay marriage, and other members of the LGBT community. I find Perkins' statement curious in light of the many hateful statements made by the FRC and others. If someone who was gay was attacked, would Perkins think that the perpetrator in that incident had been given a license to attack from his organization and others with similar purposes? Of course not. When there is an attack on a member of the LGBT community, organizations like Perkins' FRC and members of the Christian right are quick to distance themselves from, even though they contribute much to the climate of hate for non-heterosexuals in this country. I want to take a look at some of those contributions, starting with Tony Perkins himself. On one occasion, Perkins filled in for someone on one of the American Family Association, a similar hate group, radio show. A caller said that people like Perkins were promoting misconceptions about gays and lesbians while ignoring societal ills. Perkins' response in part was, "The month of June is Gay Pride Month. Now, I have not yet seen where they have declared Adultery Pride Month. I have not yet seen where they have declared the Drunkenness Pride Month. Here's the issue. It's not a matter of whether or not someone can do what they want to do with their lives. God gave Adam and Eve a choice, but that's not what we're talking about here." Later in the same broadcast, he said, "In fact, when it comes to drunkenness, we have laws to try to protect the rest of society." So to Perkins, being gay is the same as being a drunkard or an adulterer. And clearly there should be laws to protect society from gays. Just being gay, not doing anything, just being gay. It is implicit here that Perkins believes that homosexuals lack control and are therefore a danger to others. If you want to look at a lack of control, let's look at all these sex scandals amongst various religions that have come to light. These are mostly committed by heterosexual males. Well, maybe we need laws to protect the rest of society from heterosexual male religious figures. When Google instituted its Legalize Love campaign for LGBT rights, Tony responded, "Thanks to a new campaign, Google's approach to traditional values is to search and destroy." In trying to be clever with his use of words, Perkins paints equal rights for gays as destructive to society. Again, just exactly how this is rarely clarified by those who share this view. I guess terrifying people with the alleged horrible things that the mysterious and ephemeral gay agenda might do isn't destructive to society. In a video produced by the FRC and the Truth in Action Ministries against gay marriage, he said, "For nearly a generation, we've neglected marriage, leaving it nearly defenseless to homosexual activists who are now trying to redefine marriage out of existence. Same-sex marriage, it contradicts God's will as revealed in the created order, violating God's law, only brings pain and heartache. Right is called wrong, evil is called good. It is because we have wielded moral authority to the demands of special interests or the ruling of some aberrant judge. As a result, all of society suffers." Inflammatory rhetoric designed to frighten. Terrible things will happen if gays are allowed to marry. The exaggerated phrase, "all of society suffers," and the comparison of what is right with God's law, specifically meaning not just Christianity, but a peculiar fundamentalist view of Christianity that condemns homosexuality due to a few passages in the Bible, and yet ignores passages about, eating pork or the proper keeping of slaves. Many of these same people are against universal health care. I guess they missed the part of God's law that compels them to take care of the weak and the sick. Of course, it's not just Perkins. There's the odious Brian Fisher of the American Family Association. I could easily do an hours-long video about him. In response to the call to boycott Chick-fil-A, he said, "They are bullies. They are intolerant. They are vicious. They are mean. They are after people of faith." Fisher also claims that we have a choice in this country, gay rights or the First Amendment. We can't have both. The single greatest threat to religious liberty today is the homosexual agenda. We can't have gay marriage and the First Amendment. And then later in that same video, I think we should be free in America to discriminate against homosexual behavior, because if we don't, it will be the people of faith who are discriminated against. Fisher has also said that gays are driven by a dark, venomous, demonic hatred, that gay adoption is a form of child abuse, and even compares gays to cannibals. In a blog post, he says, public policy is about discriminating against behaviors that are socially destructive and corrosive to the social fabric. So we rightfully discriminate against people who rip off convenience stores, burgle houses, drive while drunk, eat the faces off homeless people, gun down servicemen on military bases, embezzle funds from employers or clients, or beat their wives. About the only good thing I can say about Brian Fisher is he is upfront about his desire to discriminate against gays. Partly because gays are vicious and mean. If Fisher wants to see vicious and mean, he should watch his own videos. They define vicious and mean. Fisher also brings up the unfounded fear that the religious are somehow in danger from homosexuals, and worse, that allowing gay rights and gay marriage somehow cancels out the First Amendment. This is just absurd. So Brian wants his religious belief protected by the First Amendment, and to him that means his intolerance is sacrosanct. What if someone else's religious beliefs hold that to deny two people of the same sex to marry is bigotry and therefore immoral? Somehow I can't see Fisher upholding those religious beliefs. There's also the far lunatic fringe. One member way out on the edge is Victoria Jackson, who was one time a member of the cast of Saturday Night Live. Jackson has a YouTube channel that is in part dedicated to an anti-homosexual agenda. She was outraged by the kiss between Chris Colfer and Darren Criss on Glee. She said it was sickening and made a mockery of Christians. She also said that it was an affront to her religion and that she accused the show of shoving the gay thing down our throats. In one of her shows, she had a guest named Gary Demar, and she asked him, "What is homosexuality?" Demar replied that, "I can't tell anyone on this program because I would have to describe what homosexuals do." What is troubling about this is the reduction of homosexuals and homosexuality to sex. This is sadly common, as if all gay people do is have sex or search out sex. It also frames homosexual sex as something unspeakable. Do these heterosexuals do nothing but have sex or seek out sex? Why then would they think that that's what homosexuals do? Oh, wait, I see. All these homophobic Christian fundamentals do nothing but think about sex. So, of course, they think homosexuals are obsessed with sex, since they are obsessed with sex. And there's Rick Santorum. Oh, he's a charmer. Rick Santorum, in an interview when questioned about gays in the military and comparing rights for blacks with gays, rights for blacks with rights for gays, said at the end, it is a behavioral issue as opposed to a color of the skin issue. Here, Santorum is also reducing homosexuality to sex, and to an apparent lack of control that homosexuals have. This obsession the right has with homosexual sex rears its ugly head again. Santorum and others are apparently afraid that homosexuals are going to run wild in the streets, terrorizing poor innocent Christians and luring their children, and turning America into Sodom. Well, gays have been running wild in the streets. It's called Gay Pride Month. And so far, everything's okay. These people have got to quit obsessing about gay sex. It's simply not healthy. The obsessing, not the sex. Pat Robertson, well, Pat's Pat. I don't expect much from him except occasional hilarity. His latest gem: I defy these homosexuals to bring forth a baby from that part of the anatomy which they concentrate on. When that happens, I will change everything I'm saying. Until that happens, I wish those demonstrators would shut their mouth. Again, we have the obsession with sex. Gotta wonder about these people. People can't just be gay. They've got to be the ones obsessed with sex, otherwise they wouldn't be gay. Oddly, I think he's excluding lesbians here because they can bring forth. Also, is he expecting men to give birth from the anus or the penis? I think Pat needs a little anatomy education. And now we have a man who echoes what Tony Perkins says about the Southern Poverty Law Center being responsible for the shooting. Bill Keller of LivePrayer.com says, Groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center give license to individuals who oppose a biblical worldview to take whatever actions they deem fit, even acts of violence to silence those they disagree with. Sadly, this intimidation has worked because there are very few, like myself, who are willing to go into the mainstream media and promote biblical truth that a large percentage of society now rejects. Gee, I guess he hasn't seen all the other videos on YouTube that we've seen. He's not exactly the only person out there. He is now threatening to sue the SPLC for $100 million for defamation of character for labeling his ministry a hate group. When gay kids have committed suicide, Keller has blamed the gay community for promoting the gay lifestyle. Because if the gay community hadn't promoted the gay lifestyle, these kids wouldn't want to be gay, and then they wouldn't get bullied and hated, and then they wouldn't commit suicide. Interesting logic. Apparently, he doesn't see how the hatred he and others promote has anything to do with it. He's also said, homosexuality is a bondage like alcohol, drugs, gambling, or anything else people get addicted to. The great lie the homosexual community has successfully sold is that people are born gay. There is absolutely zero legitimate studies to support this claim. People are born with black skin or white skin, with blue eyes or green eyes. Taking off your pants to have sex is a choice. And deciding to be a flaming idiot is also a choice. One that Keller has taken. Also paraphrasing and correcting his English, there are also zero studies to support his claim that homosexuality is a choice. Now in May, I did a video called A Month of Hate, in which I listed the hateful anti-gay statements that Christian pastors made that month alone. May have been exceptional, but likely only in the items that came to attention. When statements like theirs are so readily accepted by their congregations and others, you know that this type of rhetoric is ubiquitous. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the Month of Hate. There was Pastor Sean Harris of Berean Baptist Church of Fayetteville, North Carolina. He was famous for extolling parents in a sermon to punch their effeminate sons. Yeah, of course, good idea. Teach the kid violence. Then he can grow up to be a self-hating, gay-bashing gay. Then there was Pastor Tim Bonin of Beacon Baptist Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. And he suggested that if gay marriage were allowed, well, marriage to beasts might be next. I absolutely refuse to make any comments here about some people's spouses. And I'm not talking physical appearance. Pastor Ron Byrd, Berean Baptist Church, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. North Carolina seemed to have excess of these idiots, at least during May. He says gays should be prosecuted as they were historically. Oh yeah, let's send them all to jail. The taxpayers of this country have nothing better to do with their money than support all the homosexuals in the country in jail. Good idea. Pastor Charles L. Worley, Providence Road Baptist Church, Maiden, North Carolina. Well, he wants to fence off all the lesbians and gays and let them die off. This is one of the silliest and most frightening things that have been said. I wonder if he's thinking of, well, concentration camps. Or perhaps something not quite as harsh. Maybe you could get Joe Arpaio to set up something. Have to ditch the pink underwear, though. Pastor Curtis Knapp, New Hope Baptist Church in Seneca, Kansas. He thinks the government should kill gays. They won't, but he thinks they should. I wonder if he thinks our government should take lessons from another government that thought it was a good idea to kill undesirables. After all, the Nazis damn near perfected mass killing. Is that what he wants? Pastor Jeff Sangel of the Apostolic Truth Tabernacle Church in Greensburg, Indiana. He was a pastor in the church where that little 4-year-old boy got up and sang, "Ain't no homos gonna make it to heaven." What a great lesson for a child. 4 years old and already spouting hate. Maybe they should start fitting him with a hood. And Pastor David Leatherman, last in our list for the merry month of May, of Mountain Lake Independent Baptist Church of Oakland, Maryland. He likes the idea of killing gays. He doesn't really think it should be done, but he likes it. Where do you draw the line in your conscience between liking killing gays and thinking it should be done? And why? Why do you like it? What sort of perverted soul would like such a thing? So there we go. And Tony Perkins blames the Southern Poverty Law Center for labeling his group a hate group, for the attack on his group. Well, anyway, thank you for watching and listening. Don't tolerate hate. Fight it whenever and wherever you can. I've listed references to pretty much, I think, everything I've talked about here down below. So thanks again. Goodbye.